Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray. Joining us this week, reporter Laurel Rosenhall, political expert for CalMatters.org. Laurel, glad you're here. So June 15th is the tentative date for the state to fully reopen its economy. Do you believe that this is based on science, or is there a little bit of politics mixed in here?
All of the above. I mean, really at this point, the pandemic and the recall campaign of Gavin Newsom are heavily intertwined. The reason that the recall gained enough momentum to gather the signatures that will probably put it on the ballot is because of the pandemic. And so everything the governor is doing now can be viewed both through the lens of sort of managing this public health crisis and also keeping his job.
He seems to have erred on the side of caution throughout the pandemic. There are new variants out there, South Africa, United Kingdom. What do you think could happen if this kicks in?
I mean, by setting this June 15th date, the governor has taken a calculated risk. It has good odds that it'll be successful for him. The trend lines are all pointing in the right direction. The infection rates are very low right now. Vaccine rollout has improved. But there is always the possibility that the variants could really take off, that infections spike, that there's a snafu with vaccine delivery. And now he's dangled this date out there that a lot of people are planning around and expecting. And so if things get worse with the pandemic and he has to, shut down, that'll be very, very difficult for him politically.
So at this stage with the recall, they still are certifying the votes. So we'll know about that coming up soon. What is the status of the recall as far as you see it? Are the Democrats coming to the aid of Governor Newsom? I mean, for him to have to run again, he's got an unlimited budget.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a huge push from Democrats, frankly, across the country. Obviously, when Newsom rolled out his sort of anti-recall campaign a couple weeks ago, he had the support of big name Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And now we're seeing local Democrats here in California step in with a new effort to try to encourage people to remove their names from the ballot, possibly to get the number down low enough that it wouldn't qualify. The system for a recall does include this period of time when voters can remove their name from the ballot if they want to. It seems like a real long shot effort because the supporters of the recall have turned in many signatures, more than they needed. So the opponents would have to remove a lot of them. And it's very impossible, frankly, to target the voters who put their name on there. So it's not perceived as a real likely successful effort, but they are trying to basically get the recall off the ballot before it could even qualify.
So we have schools that are reopening here and there with safety protocols. How is that all playing into what's happening with June 15th and a recall?
Well, the June 15th reopening goal, obviously that is going to give schools a little bit of a buffer zone because, that's summer vacation for the vast majority of schools. And the real question is just what will that reopening mean for the fall? A lot of schools have been reluctant to kind of make any commitments so far about what the fall will look like. The reopenings that are happening this spring are generally on a hybrid schedule, which is very few hours of school, actual in-person school for students, which means that working parents are still having to juggle with these extremely minimal schedules that might just be a few hours a week of on-campus time. So the governor said that it's his expectation that school be back to full-time in-person instruction after June 15th, but he stopped short of saying that he would make it a requirement. And when my colleague asked him about it this week, he basically said, more to come. I'm working with the legislature. We'll have more news soon.
Okay. CalMatters. Thank you, Laurel. CalMatters, a nonpartisan news organization explaining California policies and politics. Find their work at calmatters.org.